It is NFL Draft Eve. Let's go. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you. No matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. And coming up, fittingly, my final San Francisco 49ers 2025 NFL Mock Draft. Speaking of that, a programming reminder here on the show, myself, producer Chip, will be live every single day, every single round, breaking down every single pick of this draft. And tomorrow on Thursday, round one gets underway. Be sure to join us, subscribe, turn on that notification button. Therefore, anytime we do go live, you'll be notified. And our round one coverage will get underway at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. That's 2 hours before the Tennessee Titans will be on the clock with the number one overall pick. Some dates for the NFL Draft, just as a refresher for a lot of you. We've been talking about this for a long time, and the buildup has seemingly taken forever, but it's almost finally here. Round one, that's all that's going to happen on Thursday night. Picks 1 through 32, Thursday, April 24th. Rounds 2 and 3 will start an hour earlier, still on Friday night, though, April 25th. Rounds 4 through 7 we'll wake up early, do it all again, and round out the 2025 NFL Draft on Saturday, April 26th. And the Niners have said time and time again this offseason, we want to get younger. We want to build through the draft. They've let a lot of veterans go who ended up getting a lot of money from other teams. That, in turn, in the future, is going to open up cap space for San Francisco. And John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, they want to get younger. They want to add some youthful juice to this roster. They have a golden opportunity to do that. And if the Niners can have success with this draft class, like they did last year, and then repeat their success in 2026 when, once again, they have a bevy of great draft choices at their disposal, the Niners can be a sustainable winner. They can remain competitive for a very long time. They can reset this roster a little bit, get this organization back on track, and set themselves up for the next several years. And I love how the Niners are set up here, beginning tomorrow with the 11th overall pick. They have 4 selections inside the top 100. They have an opportunity here to fulfill needs and add a lot of marquee players to their roster. Back on the clock, second round, 43rd overall. In the third round, they're equipped with the 75th pick, another third rounder at number 100. They have 2 fourth rounders at 113, then you flip the page at 138. 2 fifth round picks, 147, 160, and then 3 picks in that final round, 227 in the 7th, 249, and 252. This is a Niners team that does have a few needs here. The biggest, along the trenches, offensive line and defensive line. They need to rebuild up front on the offensive and defensive sides of the football. So edge and defensive tackle, 2 massive glaring holes for the Niners going into the draft. Along the offensive line, right tackle, left guard, and center. Those are holes that they need to fill. Additionally on defense, cornerback and linebacker, running back and maybe a tight end depending on what happens with George Kittle. He did respond to a report today from Diana Rossini that he's holding out at the start of offseason activities due to a contract dispute. He said, your sources, they gave you some bad information. So we'll see what happens with tight end, and we'll see if Kittle gets that extension. If they sign him, I don't think they need to draft the tight end. If they have plans to sign him and they don't draft the tight end, you probably know the writing is on the wall. That number 85 is going to get a long-term deal. And then I'm going to add wide receiver to the Niners' needs here because we're not sure when Brandon Ayuk is going to come back after suffering that knee injury last year against Kansas City after signing that huge contract extension. And my read on the Niners right now, edge, defensive tackle, offensive line. It really separates from the rest of their needs. Offensive line, defensive line, the Niners simply just need to improve, get better, get some dogs at the point of attack. And so, despite them needing an offensive lineman, especially a right tackle, and maybe an offensive tackle who once Trent Williams retires, that player can replace him. I don't think they go offensive line in the first round. I think the Niners are centered on building up the defensive line first with that first round selection. And so I think these 5 players are really in play for the Niners. And I think that one of these players will be selected by San Francisco tomorrow. It's Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon. Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. Michael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia. Jalen Walker, I love his versatility as an edge and off-ball linebacker, also a Georgia Bulldog. And Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher from Texas A&M. John Lynch said on Tuesday, when we're looking and scouting at the defensive end spot, we want players there who can set the edge. Michael Williams is a player who can do that. Shamar Stewart is a player who can do that. I don't think the Niners would be able to pass up on the athleticism, the potential, and the versatility of Jalen Walker. Derek Harmon and Walter Nolan are defensive tackles in the mold at that position. They have the traits that the Niners certainly look for. And what I'm going to do as we get our mock draft officially underway, my final mock draft here on the show, I am going to trade out of number 11. In addition to what Lynch said about the edge rusher position on Tuesday, he also mentioned we are interested in trading back. And so I think that's a thought process to consider here for San Francisco. And obviously it's going to depend on how the draft board falls. Shoot, they could trade up if a couple of quarterbacks go and they really like the landing spot they could get to get a player who they covet. But my thought process here is you trade back, you still get a player who you really like at a position of need, you get an additional top 100 pick, and all you do is flip places with the Denver Broncos. In order to trade back, you need another team to tango. And the Broncos are that team. There's been some chatter that Denver could move up, perhaps looking for a running back like Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina or Ashton Genty if he falls. And so that's a team that I look at as a trade partner potentially. The Houston Texans are another team led by general manager Nick Caserio that always moves around and is said to be wanting to move up the draft board. And because San Francisco has so many needs, it's valuable to move back to number 20, get a player in this pre-draft process who they covet, and then pick up another top 100 pick. And that player could also be highly impactful this year and in the future. So we move back to number 20 here, and I'm going to go with Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle out of Oregon. And the Niners have a track record of liking defensive tackles from that program. Eric Armstead, Solomon Thomas, and Derek Harmon fits the mold of what the Niners like at that defensive tackle spot. 6'4", 313 pounds. He was moving at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, and it goes to show you the athleticism that he possesses. A 4.95 40-yard dash at that size. He had a monster 2024 campaign under head coach Dan Lanning. I like the scheme fit with Oregon as compared to Michigan State, and he really broke out. Of note, the Niners sent a large brass to Oregon's pro day to look at players like Derek Harmon, to look at players like Josh Connerly. Jeffrey Bassa is the linebacker who I think the Niners could like later in the draft. Going back to Harmon, though, size, length, quickness, athleticism. He holds his ground against the run, but does have pass rush ability to collapse the pocket and get pressure on the quarterback. I also like his durability. He did not miss a game his final 3 seasons. And as you flip the page and you look at his career numbers, and you look at photos of Derek Harmon, he's going to need to get a little bit more sculpted with this body type. Sometimes he carries unnecessary weight. What's impressive, though, when he went to Michigan State, he was 350 pounds. He slimmed down. He got in better shape. He was very durable, very productive in 2024, and he was a much better athlete because he was in much better shape this past year in 2024, which led to the breakout season when he had 55 pressures, the most at that position, 5 sacks, 11 TFLs. One of the concerns I do have, can he continue to stay in that athletic mold? And was that one breakout season a mirage? Or is it a sign of things to come where he's going to continue to get better and he's just tapping into his true potential? But the fact that he led all defensive tackles with those 55 pressures, that was impressive. And it was 12 more than the next best defensive tackle all across college football. And so I think that he can continue to develop. It's sometimes harder to find defensive tackles for a wide nine compared to defensive ends. And I think that Derek Harmon can have success playing in this wide nine, and I'd be excited to see what Chris Kocurek and Robert Saleh can do with him, and I think that he could be a plug-and-play guy right from the jump, and as we know, the Niners need it. Niners are back on the clock with the 43rd overall pick in the second round, and we're going to address another huge position of importance. That's offensive tackle with Arante Ursery out of Minnesota. He was a 3-year starter in college, very powerful player. He doesn't have natural bend, but he can move at his size. He's a great fit in Kyle Shanahan's outside zone scheme. When he was asked at Minnesota to pull out on some of those pull blocks and to cross the line of scrimmage, and when you watch him on some of those swing blocks, you just watch him in space, get to that second and third level, moves well, and he looks comfortable. He is massive at 6'6", 331 pounds, and he has long arms and still put up 25 reps on the bench press. When you have long arms and you're benching with those long arms and you're going up and down, takes a lot of exertion, right, with those long arms. So to still be able to put up 25 reps at 225, that's impressive. And at that offensive line spot, the bench is a good indicator for how strong you are because you're using that motion all the time as an offensive lineman. A relative athletic score of 9.43, good broad jump, a 5.01 40-yard dash, excellent 20-yard split and 10-yard split. Was a left tackle in college. Eventually, maybe he takes over for Trent Williams. That's my thought process here. And maybe right away he can compete with Colton McKivitz to play right tackle. Overall PFF grade last year of 77.5, pass blocking grade of 77.3, run blocking grade of 73.6. Only gave up 1 sack and 3 penalties. On top of that, only surrendered 10 hurries as well. Played in, again, a similar system to what Kyle Shanahan runs, or at least similar concepts, and he's a good fit for what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. And the Niners are very specific about the offensive tackles who they target here. And so I think that Ersery, especially going to the Niners, it will allow him to find success. And I think that Ersery could be one of the top offensive tackles in this class alongside Josh Simmons if he could stay healthy with that knee injury, which is a huge concern. Niners back on the board at 75 overall in the third round. And we're going to go with the player who has a lot of buzz to San Francisco, who met with the Niners in the pre-draft, who has high character, whose motor and play I really like. And that's Olu Aladeu, the edge rusher out of UCLA. Excellent body type for an edge. He's ripped, has very powerful hands that allows him to separate from blocks at the line of scrimmage. He was a former off-ball linebacker, and you see the instincts with which he plays. He can also rush from different angles, has some versatility there. The effort and the motor is something he always has. And the Niners love players who love to play football. You see that with Oladejo. He does need some more pass rushing moves and needs to be more refined there. But down the road, I think that he can be an excellent player. Last year with the Bruins, 57 tackles, 14 TFLs. He too can set the edge. He too can stop the run. 4.5 sacks with 33 pressures and 2 pass breakups. Again, as an edge rusher, he's a little bit raw there. This is a little bit of a projection, but with the athleticism, with the skill set he already has, this is a player who I think can be another really impactful defensive lineman on this Niners team. So in 2024, he has that really good year of production. Again, prior to that, he was getting warmed up to the position, and he was also a former off-ball linebacker. Little bit of a risk, but I'm willing to take that risk with Oladejo. At 85 in the third round, this is the pick that we got from the Denver Broncos. I'm going to take one of my favorite wide receivers in this class, Elic Ayomanor, out of Stanford. 6'1", 216 pounds. He has good size, good physicality. He's soft-spoken, doesn't talk a lot of trash. Then you get him on the field in between the lines, and he plays nasty. Ran really well at the NFL Combine, 4.4, 4.40. Very impressive athlete who's also tough on top of that physicality. He has really quick feet. He can track the long ball. He can rise up, go up, and get it. He looks to steamroll defenders as a run blocker. And I think because of that, Kyle Shanahan might fall in love with him. There are also some clips at the Stanford Pro Day, at the Niners local Pro Day, of John Lynch speaking with Ayomanor. And I think that connection is certainly there. Obviously, Lynch played his college ball at Stanford. I just think this is a wide receiver who fits everything that the Niners want in a player at that position. He had bad quarterback play, still put up really good production in a really vanilla, lame offense. Does have to clean up some drops. More on that in a moment. 9.71 relative athletic score for Elic Ayomanor, with a vertical leap of 38.5 inches, a broad jump of more than 10 feet. That's the short area explosion. That's the ability to rise up and catch the football. In 2023, he was targeted more than 106 times with 62 catches. Again, the quarterback play was not good. Still had more than 1,000 yards receiving, 16.3 yards per catch. The 6 touchdowns, awesome. Back-to-back years. The 6 drops in back-to-back years. He has too many drops for what you'd ideally want. I don't think it's going to be a persistent issue with him. I do think it's something that he can work out with quality coaching, a change in catching mechanics. I'm just a believer in the player, and I want you to do yourselves a favor. Go back and look at what he did against Travis Hunter, who a lot of people think is the top corner in this draft class. Ayomanor dominated. And every time I turned on a Stanford game, I came away from it saying, wow. Obviously, you look at the production there on the right side of your screen from the 2024 season. The targets went down. Catches went down by 1, but the touchdown number is still there. Again, important to note, bad offense and bad quarterback play. Before we continue to move forward with my final mock draft, we want to welcome a brand new sponsor on board here at Chat Sports. That is Mando. Check their products out. You got to do it. ShopMando.com. And when you use the code CHAT, you get $5 off the Mando starter pack, the best full-body deodorant on the market. You get stick deodorant, you get spray deodorant, you even get deodorant wipes. I always love optionality, right? And that's what Mando has to offer. NFL draft is coming up. It's April. You know what that means. Spring is in the air. The weather is warming up. I can't wait to get some runs in outside, go on some hikes, hang out by the pool, maybe do some paddleboarding around some lakes, go to the beach, have some summer beers outside, and just enjoy what nature has to offer. I'm looking forward to it even more because I've started using Mando whole body deodorant. Unlike other deodorants I've tried, it can actually handle everything. I'm a busy guy. I'm always on the move. I don't want to stink, but I also want deodorant that makes me feel good. It's safe to use anywhere on your body. I'm very picky about ingredients, especially in an important area like your armpits, but you can use Mando on your balls, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, even your feet. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. We're going to be live for all 3 days of the draft. If I wanted to, I wouldn't have to shower because I'd be in a good spot thanks to Mando. You can find it at Walmart, Target, other retailers across the country, and their starter pack, perfect for new customers. Comes with the solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for the Bang Bang Niner Gang, new customers get $5 off the starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use the code CHAT at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Please support our show. Tell them that Chase Sr., the 49ers Report, and Chat Sports sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. We continue to move forward with my final mock. We're going to address the cornerback spot with Jacob Parrish out of Kansas State with the 100th overall pick. If he's on the board here, this can end up being one of the biggest steals in this draft. This would allow, too, Ayomanor Lenore to stay on the outside where he played mostly last year and played at a Pro Bowl level, in my opinion. And then, obviously, Renardo Green would be the other outside corner with Parrish manning the slot. I think that's his most natural fit at the NFL level because of his lack of size. 5'9", 191. He can run and fly. He's gone in a blink. He can stick with some really speedy wide receivers. He can catch up if he gets beat. A 4.35 40-yard dash. And you see that speed because he was a state champion sprinter in high school. He's twitchy, has change of direction skills. He loves playing press man, and he plays much bigger than his stature. He also at Kansas State played a lot inside and outside. I always think that's important for cornerbacks, and he has good skills to make plays on the football. 881 relative athletic score, knocked a little bit because, 5'9", and that weight is a little bit lower. Bench press only 12 reps there. I don't care. You don't need to bench at the cornerback spot. It's not a functional movement that is something that you need at that position. What I'm looking for, explosiveness, speed, ball skills. Parrish has it all. Vertical leap of 37.5 inches and the 4.35 40-yard dash. I absolutely love it. 8 pass breakups and a pick this past year for the Wildcats. And then in 2023, 13 pass breakups and 4 interceptions. We now shift gears to pick 113. And the Niners just have multiple needs along the defensive line. So let's pick up another defensive lineman in David Walker out of Central Arkansas. This is a player who, as far as the athletic testing, some people don't think he has ideal size or length. He also comes from the FCS level. I just love the ability to make plays. He's so active. He's always around the football. He's highly disruptive. Now, the 8.62 relative athletic score, not bad at all. But again, he was a sack, pressure, TFL generating machine while in college. And there was production year after year. 34 games played in his college career. 63 TFLs, that's nearly 2 per game. 31 sacks, that's nearly 1 per game. With 151 pressures this past year, 4 forced fumbles, so he added that to his bag as well. Just anytime you watch him, he's around the ball. He's changing the course of a ball game. He's good against the run, as evidenced by the TFL numbers, and he can get after the quarterback. Now, it's not like he's the most athletic, twitchiest dude, but he has enough bend. He has enough power. He can win with a bull rush. Maybe you can experiment playing him at defensive end and defensive tackle. I just think that he can be a productive, rotational borderline starter in this league. And we go back to the well. Another defensive tackle here in Aeneas Peebles. Look, as it stands right now, the Niners have a bottom 5 defensive line. They have multiple needs at edge rusher and defensive tackle. And so that's why I'm going with multiple players in this draft, because I think the Niners need to do that. And Aeneas Peebles is a very interesting player. 6 feet, 282 pounds, 4.94 40-yard dash. Light feet, very springy, quick and agile. He is smaller at 282 pounds. Helps make up for it, though, with good pad level and a lower center of gravity. High motor. He can stop the run. Obviously, the concerns, he's smaller for an interior defensive lineman, but if you pair him up alongside a Derek Harmon, and he's on that defensive line with Nick Bosa, I think that Chris Kocurek could fall in love with the explosion at the line, being able to beat some of the plotting interior offensive linemen. 7 TFLs, 3 sacks, 37 pressures this past year in his lone season at Virginia Tech. Prior to that, he did go to Duke. You worry a little bit about the lack of sacks and the lack of TFLs, but I think with the Niners, he too could be an excellent scheme fit. Linebacker. Niners need at least one in this draft, in my opinion. Teddy Buchanan is probably my favorite player for San Francisco at that linebacker spot. Extremely athletic, really good in coverage. I had him going to the Niners in my last mock draft. Going to switch it up a little bit here and go with Chris Paul Jr., linebacker out of Ole Miss. 1 full season of starting experience for him. I thought he made the most of it this past year, playing in the SEC. 88 tackles, 11 TFLs. He, too, can sniff out plays against the run. You can use him as a blitzer from time to time. He does have a history of being able to sack the quarterback, 3.5 sacks specifically here in 2024 with 24 pressures. That's a pretty good number for an off-ball linebacker. And then he has coverage skills, too. Good range, 5 pass breakups and a pick. Gave up 1 touchdown in coverage, a quarterback rating when targeted of 93.2. He was a transfer from Arkansas. And while he didn't start a lot of games at Arkansas and wasn't a full-time starter until his final year at Ole Miss, you see some of the production there, which is something that you can build off of with the pressure numbers, the sack numbers, the TFL numbers, and he's really a sure-handed tackler. As we know, this is a very deep running back class, and I think the Niners, round 5, is probably the sweet zone to pick up a running back who is very talented, and you can get some really good value. Round 3 or 4 wouldn't surprise me if the Niners go running back there. In this mock draft, I'm going to roll with Damen Martinez, the running back out of Miami, to help replace Jordan Mason. Similar player to Jordan Mason. And the thought process here, you bring in a similar player who can pick up yards after contact, who can run through defenders, who gives you physicality at that position, short yardage situations, he can help you there. You also struggled in the red zone. He can help you in that area too. But Jordan Mason got paid by Minnesota. I didn't like that trade because I don't like getting rid of good football players. But you bring in a similar player who perhaps could be a better blocker and better pass catcher for a fraction of the price. This past year at Miami, playing alongside Cam Ward in that Miami backfield, 159 carries, more than 1,000 yards, 6.3 yards per carry. He can also catch the ball a little bit, as I noted. I also like how sure-handed he is. 10 total touchdowns, no fumbles. At Oregon State prior to Miami, he rushed for nearly 1,200 yards in 2023, 6.1 yards per carry and 9 touchdowns. In 2022, nearly 1,000 yards. Every year in college, he averaged at least 6 yards per carry. And Kyle Shanahan, I think, will fall in love with a player like this because he's a good scheme fit. He's physical, he's tough, loves ball. He'll leave skid marks on the backs of defenders, and he can be a better blocker and pass catcher as compared to Jordan Mason. This player is a thumper, and you'll notice that right away. He will not shy away from contact at all. Again, the Niners can go in a bunch of different directions at that running back spot, but Martinez, I think, is high on their board. And then 3 more picks. Kobe Bryant, the cornerback out of Kansas, high character, really good college player. He's a grinder. I think that he can end up being a really solid rotational corner over time. We'll roll with that at 227. Jalen Travis gives you offensive tackle and guard flexibility and versatility at Iowa State at 249. And then Jake Majors, the center out of Texas, at 252 in the 7th round as well. This is a player who was a leader for that Texas program, played in a lot of big games in the SEC and in the Big 12. He played against elite competition throughout his Texas career. He'll be a good scheme fit as well because Steve Sarkisian uses a lot of the similar offensive concepts as Kyle Shanahan. A little bit smaller, but the Niners, as we know, like smaller centers in this Kyle Shanahan scheme because you got to be able to get out and move. So grade my final Niners mock draft. A, B, C, D, or F. Join the conversation down in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you live tomorrow as the NFL draft gets underway.